The scorching Mexican sun beat down on the dusty arena as cameras flashed. Saul Canelo Alvarez, boxing champion and cattle rancher, stood before a crowd of journalists, his signature confidence on full display. $1 million, he announced, his voice carrying across the makeshift arena on his sprawling ranch outside Guadalajara. $1 million to anyone who can tame El Diablo. Behind him, in a reinforced pen, stood the most fearsome bull in Mexico, 2,000 pounds of pure muscle, with horns sharp enough to pierce steel and eyes that burned with untamed fury. Not a single professional had lasted more than 30 seconds on his back. This wasn't just a challenge, it was considered a death wish. Before you continue, this channel exists because of you. If you're already feeling the emotion from this beginning, subscribe now. It's quick, easy, and makes all the difference to me, the crowd murmured in disbelief. Journalists scrambled to get the story out. Boxing champion offers fortune for impossible feat. Within hours, the news spread like wildfire across social media. Professional bull riders from Texas to Brazil booked flights to Mexico. Betting sites crashed from the sudden surge in activity. Everyone wanted a piece of this story. The millionaire boxer, the killer bull, and the life-changing prize. But what nobody expected was who would actually show up to claim it. Miguel Ramirez watched the announcement on a cracked phone screen in the back room of his uncle's failing ranch, 60 miles from Canelo's empire. At 17, he had the calloused hands of someone twice his age. His family's once proud ranch was 3 months from foreclosure, his mother sick without medicine they couldn't afford, his 3 younger siblings thin from too many missed meals. Miguel knew bulls better than he knew people. While other teenagers played video games, he'd spent thousands of hours whispering to angry beasts, learning their language, understanding their fears. He'd never ridden professionally, couldn't afford to compete, but he'd tamed bulls that had injured professionals. "This is it," he whispered to himself. "This is how I save everything." His uncle entered the room, face pale after watching the same video. "You're not thinking of trying, are you? That bull has killed 3 men, Miguel, 3 professional riders." The following morning, as dawn broke over the horizon, Miguel packed his few possessions. A worn leather glove passed down from his father, a small silver cross from his grandmother, and a picture of his family. He left a note promising to return with enough money to save them all. The journey to Canelo's ranch took everything he had, his savings for a bus ticket, then hours of walking along dusty roads under the merciless sun. By the time he arrived, his throat was parched, his feet blistered, but his resolve unbroken. Canelo's ranch was unlike anything Miguel had ever seen. Sprawling green pastures, state-of-the-art facilities, security guards at every entrance. A small city of trailers had formed outside the main gate, professional riders, media crews, spectators, all waiting for their chance to witness history. When Miguel approached the registration table, the woman barely looked up from her clipboard. "Name and professional credentials?" she asked mechanically. "Miguel Ramirez," he answered, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "No professional experience." This made her look up, annoyance clear on her face. "Kid, this isn't amateur hour. That bull in there has put champions in the hospital." Miguel stood his ground. "I understand bulls. I've worked with them my whole life." She shook her head, about to dismiss him, when a deep voice interrupted. "Let him register." Canelo Alvarez himself stood behind them, arms crossed over his chest, studying Miguel with curious eyes. The boxer was shorter in person than he appeared in the ring, but his presence was undeniable. "You think you can tame El Diablo, kid?" he asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. Miguel met his gaze. "I know I can, sir." Something in Miguel's quiet confidence made Canelo pause. "Your parents know you're here?" Miguel looked down. "My father died working someone else's ranch when I was 10. My mother is sick. We're about to lose everything." Canelo nodded slowly, understanding the desperation of poverty he himself had escaped through boxing. "Registration fee is waived," he told the woman. Put him on the list. As Canelo walked away, he added over his shoulder, "Be careful what you wish for, kid. El Diablo isn't like other bulls." That night, Miguel slept on the ground outside the arena, unable to afford even the cheapest motel room where the other competitors stayed. He dreamed of his mother's smile when he returned with the money for her medicine, of his siblings going back to school instead of working, of their ranch restored to its former glory. He was awakened before dawn by commotion, ambulance lights flashing as paramedics rushed a stretcher into a waiting vehicle. "Brazilian champion," someone whispered nearby. "Bull crushed his ribcage, punctured a lung. They don't think he'll make it." Fear settled in Miguel's stomach like a stone, but he pushed it down. He couldn't afford fear. His family couldn't afford for him to fail. The qualifying rounds began at noon under the scorching sun. Professional riders from across the globe showcased their skills on less dangerous bulls, attempting to impress Canelo enough to get a shot at El Diablo. Miguel watched intently, studying their techniques, noting their mistakes. When his turn came, whispers rippled through the crowd. Who was this skinny Mexican kid with hand-me-down clothes and no sponsor logos? The announcer barely acknowledged him as Miguel entered the arena, approaching the pen where a massive brown bull pawed the ground aggressively. Instead of immediately mounting, as the others had done, Miguel approached the fence slowly, his hand outstretched, his eyes never leaving the bull's. He spoke softly in Spanish, words too quiet for the microphones to pick up. The crowd grew restless. Someone shouted for him to get on with it. But Miguel continued his quiet communion with the animal. Gradually, impossibly, the bull's aggressive pawing slowed. Its breathing steadied. When Miguel finally climbed the fence and lowered himself onto the bull's back, there was no explosive bucking, no violent resistance, just a controlled, almost peaceful demonstration of man and animal in harmony. The arena fell silent. Even Canelo, watching from his private box, leaned forward in disbelief. After the required 8 seconds, Miguel dismounted gracefully and bowed to the bull before exiting the arena. The judges exchanged confused glances. They had expected to score technique against resistance, but what they'd witnessed defied their scoring system. It was Canelo who broke the silence, standing to applaud. "That," he announced to the stunned crowd, "is why we're here, to witness the impossible." Miguel advanced to the final round where he would face El Diablo himself. That evening, as Miguel sat alone outside the arena, a sleek black SUV pulled up. Canelo stepped out, dismissing his entourage with a wave. He sat beside Miguel on the wooden bench, 2 men from different worlds sharing a moment of silence. "Where did you learn to do that?" Canelo finally asked. Miguel shrugged. "No one taught me. I just listened to them. Bulls aren't angry because they want to be. They're angry because they're afraid, confused. If you show them respect, if you understand their fear, they'll respect you back." Canelo studied him thoughtfully. "You know, people have offered me $5 million to buy El Diablo. I've refused every time." Miguel looked surprised. "Why?" Canelo's expression darkened. "That bull belonged to my father. Before he died, he made me promise never to sell him. Said El Diablo had the same heart as our family, untamable." As night fell, Miguel was approached by 3 men in expensive boots and championship belt buckles, professional riders who had advanced to the finals alongside him. $500,000, their leader offered, voice low. "You withdraw tomorrow, we split the prize when one of us wins." Miguel shook his head. "I need all of it. For my family." The man's friendly demeanor vanished. "Listen, kid, that bull is going to kill you. We're giving you a chance to walk away with more money than you've ever seen." When Miguel refused again, the man grabbed his shirt. "Don't be stupid. Nobody from nowhere becomes somebody overnight." A security guard approached and the men backed away, but their threatening glances made their message clear. Withdraw or else. Miguel barely slept that night, torn between fear of El Diablo and fear for his family's future. Before dawn, he walked to the edge of Canelo's property where the bulls were kept. Security was minimal this early, and he easily slipped past a dozing guard. He needed to see El Diablo before their official meeting to understand what he was facing. The bull's private pen was at the far end, larger and more fortified than the others. As Miguel approached, he felt the animal's presence before seeing it, an energy that made the hair on his arms stand up. El Diablo was magnificent, nearly twice the size of regular bulls, with a coat as black as midnight and eyes that seemed to glow red in the dim light. When the bull sensed Miguel's presence, it charged the fence with such force that the entire structure shook. Miguel didn't flinch. He stood his ground, speaking softly, respectfully. "I see you," he whispered in Spanish. "I see your power, your pride. I'm not here to break you. I'm here to understand you." The bull snorted, pawing the ground, but its initial charge wasn't repeated. For almost an hour, Miguel stayed there, just talking, just being present. As the first rays of sunlight appeared on the horizon, he whispered, "See you soon," and slipped away, unaware that Canelo himself had witnessed the entire exchange from the shadows of his hacienda. The final day dawned bright and clear. The arena was packed beyond capacity. Celebrities, media, ordinary people all crammed together to witness the spectacle. The three professional finalists took their turns with El Diablo. The first lasted 3 seconds before being thrown against the fence, his collarbone shattered. The second managed 6 seconds of furious bucking before a violent twist sent him flying through the air, landing unconscious in the dust. The third, the man who had threatened Miguel, employed every trick in his considerable arsenal. For 7 agonizing seconds, he seemed to be succeeding, until El Diablo suddenly reared, twisting mid-air to crash down on his back legs. The crowd gasped collectively as the rider rolled away just in time, his abandoned pride the only casualty. When Miguel's name was called, the atmosphere shifted from excitement to uncomfortable tension. Nobody wanted to watch a teenager die. Even those who had come hoping to see carnage found their bloodlust dampened by Miguel's youth and obvious poverty. As he walked into the arena, the silence was deafening. El Diablo waited in the center, pawing the ground, steam rising from his nostrils in the cool arena air. Miguel approached slowly, respectfully, his eyes never leaving the bulls. He spoke just loud enough for those nearest to hear, "I'm not your enemy. We can help each other today." To everyone's shock, Miguel didn't immediately approach the mounting area. Instead, he walked directly toward El Diablo, empty-handed, seemingly defenseless. A murmur of concern rippled through the crowd. Security guards moved toward the fence, ready to intervene. Canelo raised his hand, stopping them. "Wait," he commanded, his eyes fixed on the unfolding scene. El Diablo snorted, lowering his massive head, horns gleaming wickedly in the arena lights. The distance between boy and bull closed. 15 feet, 10 feet, 5. People held their breath, some unable to watch, certain they were about to witness a tragedy. At 3 feet away, Miguel stopped and slowly, deliberately knelt in the dirt. Complete silence fell over the arena. El Diablo pawed the ground, clearly confused by this deviation from the usual confrontation. Miguel began speaking, his voice a gentle, continuous stream of Spanish that carried in the silence. "You've fought enough," those close enough could hear him saying. "You've proven your strength 1,000 times over. Today, I'm not asking you to submit. I'm asking you to partner with me just once, for both our families." For what seemed like an eternity, man and beast regarded each other, the teenager kneeling vulnerable in the dirt, the bull with the power to end him with a single charge. Then, impossibly, El Diablo lowered his massive head, not in aggression, but something almost like acknowledgement. Miguel slowly rose and approached the bull's side. With movements both confident and respectful, he mounted El Diablo's back. The crowd collectively held its breath. For the first second, nothing happened. Bull and rider remained perfectly still in the center of the arena. Then, instead of the violent bucking everyone expected, El Diablo began to move in a controlled circle, powerful but measured. Miguel sat straight, one hand raised, not in showmanship, but in a gesture of partnership. 8 seconds passed, then 10, 15. The required time had been met and surpassed, but neither Miguel nor the bull showed any sign of stopping their synchronized dance. After a full minute, an eternity in bull riding, Miguel gently patted El Diablo's flank and smoothly dismounted. He stood beside the massive bull, his hand resting respectfully on its shoulder, both of them facing Canelo's box. The silence held for one heartbeat. 2, before the arena erupted in a roar so loud it seemed to shake the very foundations. People were on their feet, witnessing what many would later describe as miraculous. Canelo himself stood motionless, his expression unreadable as he looked down at the boy and the bull his father had declared untamable. When security approached to escort Miguel out and return El Diablo to his pen, something remarkable happened. The bull positioned himself between Miguel and the approaching men, his posture protective rather than aggressive. Miguel whispered something to El Diablo, stroked his flank once more, and only then did the bull allow the handlers to approach. As Miguel walked toward the exit, the crowd's cheering followed him like a wave. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashed, but Miguel's eyes sought only one person: Canelo, who was now making his way down from his private box, his security team struggling to keep pace. They met in the center of the arena, camera crews forming a circle around them, capturing what was quickly becoming the most viral moment in recent memory. "You did the impossible," Canelo said, his voice carrying in the microphone someone thrust between them. Miguel shook his head. "Not impossible, just forgotten. The old vaqueros knew bulls aren't meant to be conquered. They're meant to be respected, understood." Canelo studied him for a long moment before speaking again. "My father would have said the same thing." He pulled a check from his pocket, pre-written with the promised amount, but didn't immediately hand it over. "The $1 million is yours, as promised, but I have another offer for you." The crowd hushed, sensing something momentous. "My ranch manager retired last month. I need someone who understands animals the way you do, someone who can teach others your methods." Miguel's eyes widened. "You're offering me a job?" Canelo nodded. "With housing for your family on the property, the best medical care for your mother, education for your siblings. And," he paused, "a partnership in developing a more humane rodeo circuit that showcases skill and communication rather than dominance and fear." Tears filled Miguel's eyes as the implications washed over him. Not just money, but sustainability. Not just immediate relief, but a future. "Why?" he managed to ask. Canelo glanced at El Diablo, now watching them calmly from across the arena. "Because today you didn't just tame a bull. You reminded me of something my father tried to teach me before he died, that true strength isn't about domination, it's about connection." As camera flashes exploded around them, Miguel accepted both the check and the handshake that sealed their agreement. Within hours, the video of his ride had been viewed 50 million times. Within days, interview requests from major networks clogged Canelo's publicity team's inboxes. But Miguel wasn't at the ranch to field these requests. He had gone home, check in hand, to move his family before his mother's next medical treatment. When he returned a week later, with his mother, siblings, and elderly grandmother in tow, a surprise awaited him. His modest new staff quarters had been upgraded to a proper house. And in the adjacent paddock stood El Diablo, moved from his isolated pen to be directly under Miguel's care. 3 months later, the Ramirez-Alvarez Humane Rodeo Experience debuted to sold-out crowds. Gone were the electric prods, the flank straps, the techniques designed to provoke aggression. In their place was a showcase of partnership between skilled riders and powerful animals, with Miguel and El Diablo as the undisputed stars. Their demonstration of mutual trust and respect brought tears to the eyes of lifelong rodeo fans and animal rights activists alike. Applications flooded in from young riders eager to learn Miguel's methods, and Canelo's business team struggled to keep up with partnership offers from ethical entertainment companies worldwide. Miguel's mother, now receiving proper treatment, watched proudly from Canelo's private box as her son transformed from an unknown ranch hand to the face of a movement. His younger siblings, enrolled in the prestigious school on Canelo's estate, excelled in their studies, their futures no longer limited by circumstance. The family ranch that had been days from foreclosure was now being renovated as a training center for underprivileged youth interested in ethical animal husbandry. But perhaps the most profound transformation was in El Diablo himself. The once fearsome bull now allowed Miguel's youngest sister to feed him carrots from her small hand, his formerly rage-filled eyes gentle as they regarded the child. One evening, as the sun set over the training arena where Miguel had just finished working with a new group of students, Canelo approached him. The boxer leaned against the fence, watching as Miguel dismissed the class. "You know," Canelo said when they were alone, "when I made that offer, I never expected all of this." He gestured to the expanded facilities, the construction sites for the new educational center, the pastures where formerly aggressive bulls now grazed peacefully. "I thought I was helping you, but you've created something much bigger than both of us." Miguel smiled, his confidence having grown alongside his responsibilities. "In my village, there's an old saying. When you remove fear from the equation, anything is possible." Canelo nodded thoughtfully. "My father would have loved to see this. El Diablo was his pride and joy, but no one could get close to him after my father died. It was like the bull was carrying his grief, his rage." Miguel glanced toward El Diablo's paddock, where the massive bull was enjoying his evening hay. "Animals mirror what we bring to them. Your father must have been a remarkable man." Canelo's eyes grew distant. "He was. He always said our family had two legacies, boxing and bulls. I honored the first. You've helped me honor the second." The two men stood in companionable silence as darkness fell, their unlikely partnership having changed not only their own lives, but the lives of countless animals and people. The story of the poor ranch hand and the boxing champion's bull became legend, taught in business schools as a case study in ethical innovation, in psychology classes as an example of emotional intelligence, in animal behavior courses as evidence of cross-species communication. But for Miguel, the true miracle wasn't the fame or even the financial security. It was the moment each morning when he entered El Diablo's paddock and the massive bull gently lowered his head in greeting. Two souls who had recognized something in each other when the world had given up on both of them. As fame and opportunity grew around him, Miguel remained grounded in this daily ritual of connection. Journalists often asked what secret technique he had used to tame the untamable bull. His answer never varied. "I didn't tame him. We freed each other." In a world obsessed with domination and control, this simple philosophy sparked a revolution that began with a desperate teenager, a grieving bull, and a boxer wise enough to recognize that some victories can't be won with fists, only with heart. If you made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing and commenting where you're watching from. If this truly touched you, give back, comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.